All right. So before we start, I'm going to go over the ingredients to make sure you have everything ready and out. We're going to be using the half cup today, the fourth cup. You're going to be using the tablespoon, the half teaspoon, and 1/4 of a teaspoon. So that's all the utensils. We're going to be doing the cookies with tahini, almond butter, a flax egg, coconut sugar, coconut flour, baking soda, vanilla, and salt. If you don't have almond butter, I haven't tried peanut butter yet, but why not experiment? I think it will taste as good as the almond butter. So to start, we're going to preheat our ovens to 350 degrees. So first we're going to start that. And then we're going to make our flax egg. So you're going to take your flax meal. It's in a powder form. And you're going to take a tablespoon of that to... Oh, I almost used my coconut flour. So we're going to take a tablespoon of flax meal to 3 tablespoons of water. So I'm going to grab some water. All right, so in there you're going to add 3 tablespoons of water. And then you're going to mix it all up. Make sure you really get that mixed up and evenly spread throughout the water. This is what is bringing the egg form today to the dough. So once you have that mixed, you're going to put that aside, and we're going to come back to that later. We're going to let that harden and let it get and form what the egg form would be. Okay. For everyone's joining, we're making sesame seed tahini cookies. So we just made our flax meal egg and we preheated our oven to 350. So now we're going to move forward and make the dough. So first step, what you're going to do is take your tahini and you're going to do 1/2 cup of tahini into a medium-sized mixing bowl. So mine comes out pretty creamy, so it's very easy to get out. And then you're going to dump that right into the bowl. So this was 1/2 cup of tahini into the mixing bowl. Your next step is you're going to take the almond butter, or if you're using peanut butter, you're going to take 1/2 cup as well. I already weighed mine out into the 1/2 cup and put it into a little bowl, so I'm going to add that into the tahini. So this was 1/2 cup as well. So right now in the mixing bowl is 1/2 cup of tahini and 1/2 cup of almond butter. Okay, great. So once that is into the medium-sized mixing bowl, we're going to go ahead and add our coconut sugar. And that is going to be in 1/4 of a cup. So I have that already into my 4th cup. And I'm going to mix that into, or pour that into the bowl with the 1/2 cup tahini and 1/2 cup of almond butter. So that was 1/4 of a cup of coconut sugar. And then I'm going to mix those 3 together really stirring to get a nice creamy mixture. Okay. Great. So once you have that mixed, we're going to go ahead and add our baking soda. So we're going to take 1/4 of a teaspoon of the baking soda. And you're going to dump that right into the bowl. And then after that, you're going to do your vanilla extract. I use raw vanilla powder, so I'm going to use a little less. You're just going to dump the vanilla extract, and that's going to be 1/2 of a teaspoon. So just to catch everyone up, we're making sesame seed tahini cookies, and right now in our mixing bowl, we have 1/2 cup of tahini, 1/2 cup of almond butter, 1/4 cup of coconut sugar. We just added 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda and 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. So then we're going to mix that into our mixture. Great. So once we have that, we're also going to do 1/4 of salt. And you're going to add that in. And then we're going to add our coconut flour in. So once you have 1/4 teaspoon of salt added into the mixture, we're going to move on to adding in 1/4 cup of the coconut flour. I haven't used any other flour substitutes, so if you do, send us a photo and tell us how it is. Okay, so you're going to add 1/4. Oh, sorry. Too much flour, sorry. I meant one tablespoon of flour. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself over here. So 1 tablespoon of flour. If you're using another flour, you're going to have to use a little bit more because of coconut flour being so moist and holding a moisture within the cookie. So 1 tablespoon of coconut flour into the mixture, not cup. Sorry about that, everyone. You want to make sure you don't use as much flour in these because they already are a fragile cookie when we're done baking them. So you don't want to add too much flour. The seed butter really takes over on the cookie, making it very moist and chewy still. And once you added the 1 tablespoon of coconut flour into the medium bowl, you're gonna add your flax meal egg that we put aside to harden. So if it still needs a little bit of time, then I would let it sit for a little longer, the egg, because you really want it to harden up a little bit. But as you can see, mine's pretty ready to go, and it has a good little gel texture to it. And then once you add that in, you're gonna start to see the dough forming and getting harder to stir. So you wanna really make sure you're mixing in that flax meal egg. And you can see that it went from a creamy mixture to a harder one now. More stiffer. The flax meal egg really comes in and gets this into a dough form. All right, so once you have that, it's gonna look like this, and it's a little harder. Once you have that, we're gonna move on to creating the dough ball shape of the cookie and rolling it in our sesame seeds. So So what I like to do is mix black sesame seeds and white sesame seeds. So I start by just putting a little bit in to a bowl. About the same amount, even for both of them. And then mix it up a little bit to see the ratio. This cookie recipe makes about 10 to 12 cookies. So you want to make sure you have enough sesame seeds. It's okay to come back after you're making them and adding more sesame seeds into the bowl. But you're going to mix all of those. And if you only have one sesame seed, it's fine. And if you don't have any right now, I would add a little cinnamon on top to the cookie dough to make it more of a little sweet. They are more of a savory cookie. We don't add as much sweetener into them. So if you would like a sweeter cookie, I would add maybe a little bit of maple syrup to the mix. These cookies I really like to keep not that sweet because I really like my peanut butter chocolate chip ones to be my sweet cookies. So you're going to take the dough and you're going to roll a little bit in your hands to make this size dough. So you just want to take a little bit, roll it around in your hands, and then you're going to lightly put it into the sesame seeds bowl and move it around so that it's fully covered in sesame seeds. So it would look like this. So once you have sesame seeds covered around all of the dough, you're going to lightly put it on your hand and press down to make this cookie. And you're going to put it on your pan with parchment paper down. And then that's the process. You're going to keep going. You're going to try and fit about same size. I like to make them a little bit smaller because they do come out very fragile. So you want to make them a little smaller so it's easier to pick up and eat. So then we're going to do the same process for all 10. So roll it around in the sesame seeds, lightly press, and put onto the tray. As you're going, the sesame seeds might be on your hands, and that's okay to get it into the dough and onto the next ones. And press down. Put it onto the tray. So I haven't used other coconut or other flours in this recipe because I tend to stick to coconut flour for all of my desserts. Sometimes I'll use almond meal, which I do think almond meal might be a great replacement for this recipe. I haven't tried. Buckwheat might be nice as well. What's nice about this easy kind of recipe is experimenting and finding out if another seed butter is better or a different kind of flour is better. So it's really up to you. I think what's important really about these recipes is which seed butter you're using. As I would say, the sesame and tahini seed cookie is really good with almond butter, and I can't wait to hear if anyone else is using peanut butter because I'm sure it's going to taste so amazing. Okay, so I have 7 cookies already rolled, and I did run out of sesame seeds. So I'm going to have to add more into the mixture. And keep rolling. Okay. Another thing that's nice about this cookie recipe is if you don't add in the baking soda when you're making the dough and you want to keep it in the fridge to maybe make these cookies at a different time, that's okay. Because we're using a flax meal egg, it's really easy to use this dough at a later time. It does store up to about 1 to 2 weeks in the fridge. So if you would like to make this and prep it and then make them later on in the day, that's okay. Oh wow, great. Love to hear that buckwheat flour is a substitute. Okay. So I'm on my last cookie, rolled, and it looks so yummy. I cannot wait. So, looks like I got 11 cookies. I do think this recipe makes 10 to 12 cookies. I'm gonna rinse my hands and wash them before I put them into the oven. Okay, so I'm gonna show you guys what they look like. So they are on my tray and looking like that, so yummy. And then I'm gonna put them into the oven at about, at 350. And you're gonna cook them for only about 10 minutes, very fast. I would say 10 to 12 minutes is the most you want to cook them at because they come out so fragile already. And earlier today, I made a batch to show you what they look like. Voila. This is them, and I'm going to show you the texture, so you don't want to overcook them. And as you can see, they come apart so easy and yummy. Enjoy! Thank you for tuning in. My name's Courtney.